Hunger, fury, hunger, agony, hunger, violence. A super predator, unstoppable, adorned in 1,000 scars, each of which a battle won, each of which a life ended. This is Deviljho, and he is hungry. Hello there, fellow hunters. Welcome to Deviljho. How may I take your order?
One of everything, please!
Oh yes, we know our Deviljho, simply known as the Violent Wyvern, and really there could not be a more fitting title for him. He appears, he messes things up, he causes a right royal ruckus and a good bit of carnage, and then he's either on his way or you are on a cart. He almost freed us of the handler. So close. But all in all, he's not a bad guy once you get to know him. No, actually, once you get to know him, you might feel sorry for the Deviljho, because quite frankly, being one is really not a good time. So, on the surface level, he is monstrously powerful. In his normal base Deviljho form, he is a match for an Elder Dragon, which puts him in an elite category of monster, along with just 6 others. A Cantor, Ucanlos, Rajang, Atalka, Shen Garen, and Mr. Basil himself. Now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of variants, deviants, rare species, and versions of a otherwise much weaker monster that can stand up to the Elders, but it is these 6 in their natural, normal, most common state that are the Elder Fighters. And that is already impressive. Deviljho is not the most powerful brute wyvern. He's not the most intelligent brute wyvern. But he is by far and away the most feared and the most dangerous. He is not called the Devourer of Worlds for nothing. Physically then, Deviljho is nigh unmatched. When it comes to the realm of muscle, of pure strength, he is near king, evidenced keenly when he so casually tosses another monster known itself for overwhelming physical force. F, Diablos. F. And that is key for his general strategy of unrelenting, overwhelming, unstoppable force, aggression, and general psychopathy. Equipped with 2 powerful legs to support his bulky frame, they allow him to run incredibly quickly. They allow him to jump incredibly far. They allow him to stomp on the ground with such force that it creates miniature localized earthquakes from sheer vibrations, knocking all smaller creatures around him to the ground for easy consumption. And we will get to his consumption. Tail-wise, I mean, pickle. It's a big, chonking batter stick. Yep, there you go. The official technical term is big, chonking batter stick. And it, well, does what it says on the tin. Swinging it around, it just clobbers into everything, inflicting huge blunt force trauma and generally ruining your day along with every one of your bones. But of course, the business end of the Deviljho is the mouth. Because it's certainly not the tiny arms. I mean, look at them, come on. And that mouth is one of the most devastating weapons ever wrought by Mother Nature. At least, Monster Hunter's Mother Nature. It is just a grinding maw of sharp teeth. Large and puncturing, they make armor look like paper, and tear through flesh like a hot glavenus through a Rathian. Much like how a great white shark, which has 300 teeth arranged in conveyor belts that slowly push them forward, and eventually when they reach the end, they just detach themselves to make way for the ones behind, and they can go through 20,000 teeth in a lifetime. Joe is the same, except a lot more extreme. He has a mighty amount of teeth, and they also, much like rabbits, squirrels, rodents, never stop growing. No, he is a weapons factory on full steam ahead. So yeah, technically this has something in common with this. And seriously, what a roar the Deviljho has. At least when the Gajilaka actually let him do it. I love it. I love it so much. So that aforementioned weapons factory that is Joe's mouth is on a production belt, and the teeth slowly grow and rotate out the mouth and round the chin and forward and eventually then get chipped off, either in combat, in eating, or when Joe has to manage them himself by biting into the earth, doubling up as both a marking of his vast territory claimed and as a way of getting rid of teeth that have served their purpose. It's where you can find bits of tooth when you track him. A real literal interpretation of World Eater by Joe, if I'm honest. And then this results in him having a Chino teeth. And this Chino teeth serves as, well, quite the weapon. He can smack his face into things, and he does. He has a callous, reckless disregard for his own safety, as evidenced by the endless scars, but we'll get to that. And then, through combination of sharp chin teeth and strength, he is essentially devastating a would-be prey item or aggressor with a living spiked mace. And that's not bad, but also these chin teeth double up as a way of gouging into the ground in order to cling on to, pick up and fling huge globs of earth. This is what lets him throw rocks at you, it's what lets him throw ice, it's what lets him throw molten balls of lavery death, it's what lets him throw effluvium bombs at you. In fact, Deviljho can apply the blight of any given environment because he tries very hard to crush you with a nice little piece of that environment. He's not the most clever of monsters, but he is very straight to the point, and it is undoubtedly effective. So, why does being a Deviljho honestly suck? The curse of hunger. See, a Deviljho is stricken by it, gripped by it, it claws at him, it burns inside him, it drives his every thought, his every action. Imagine being so achingly hungry that it's all you are, it's all you can experience. Everything you see is food. All you search for is a means to end this racking, desperate need to consume, but nothing ever does. And the reason this afflicts him is body temperature. The Deviljho is hot. Very, very hot. And as in real life your metabolic rate goes up the hotter you are, well, Deviljho is the extreme example. When he glows red from within, that's not just cool points, it's not just an effect. He boils with rage. It very much reminds me of a Greek myth. Now, I will spare you terrible pronunciation by the name of this king of Thessaly being on screen right now, and he, well, kind of got on the bad side of the goddess Demeter. He ordered an entire grove of trees to be cut down, but his men reaching an oak tree that had carved into it a symbol of the goddess decided to stop for fear of incurring her wrath. Enraged, the king decided, you know what, I'll do it myself, and taking an axe, struck the tree and felled it. Now obviously, given the vindictive nature of Greek gods, she was not best pleased, and, well, she entreated a nymph known as Lemos, who was the spirit of unrelenting and insatiable hunger, to place herself in his stomach, essentially forcing him to be permanently, agonizingly, unendingly, desperately hungry. He sold everything he had, went from king to pauper, and eventually no amount of food could satiate him, and he turned to eating himself, and well, that was his end. And really, to me, Deviljho very much runs on this same principle, and honestly, even the last bit, which again, we'll get to. So Deviljho is nomadic, and simply that is because no single ecosystem can sustain him. He simply needs to eat too much. His metabolism is, well, hyperdrive. He burns a meal almost as fast as he can eat it. He has to constantly consume, or he will simply grow weak, collapse, and die. He even eats prey that he has caught alive. As soon as they are crippled, he chows down. No point spending the wasted energy or effort in fully killing them. He just starts eating. He will eat his own tail. He is the most opportunistic and determined predator in the world of Monster Hunter, and right down to his very DNA, he will not give up a fight unless A, he wins it, or B, he is slain himself. He can't afford to. To attack something and not turn it into a meal is to mean that he has wasted all of that energy and time for nothing, and to a Deviljho, that can be a death sentence. This causes him to be one of the most bloodthirsty, brutal, and purely savage combatants in the entirety of Monster Hunter. His body is lined with scars, tears, ripped skin, damaged muscle from every single encounter, for he is reckless to a fault, caring not for his own safety, only for his next meal. And when the Deviljho is pushed into a corner, well then, he gets even angrier. He enrages, and a gland within him releases copious amounts of adrenaline. Adrenaline that spurs him on beyond even what his body was previously thought to be capable of. It absolutely floods him. It drives the already single-minded beast to absolute crazy levels of kill, murder, or death. But it's not just that. It also releases a hormone that makes his muscles bulk and tense and grow, increasing his strength by an alarming rate, but also having the side effect of opening every single one of his old wounds, of ripping his skin open. Every bit of red you see on a Deviljho is his literal flesh underneath, having been revealed and now boiling with rage. In his attempt to get the kill, to satiate the stomach, he has put his body through agony. And in that agony, well, he finds the strength to keep going, because the agony causes more adrenaline, it causes more muscle tensing, and so on and so forth, in an endless feedback loop known colloquially as how the Incredible Hulk works. That is how the Deviljho do. He is the perfectly designed eating and killing machine. There is nothing alive that is not prey. His saliva even is acidic to make it that much easier to get through bone and armor and horns and anything else that may otherwise take a little bit too much effort to digest. Every single aspect of this monster is streamlined for the purpose of consume. And that purpose to consume, well, consumes him. Being a Deviljho really sucks. Aggressively violent, not by choice, but by design. But it doesn't, of course, end there. Deviljho and dragon energy. In fact, one of the very, very few monsters that aren't an elder dragon capable of harnessing it, he can pour it out in its crudest form. Unrefined, a crackling, unstable cloud, a deep bellow of the life energy within. And life energy is right. See, dragon is mysterious. It is mysterious to the guild, and research on it is scarce. But evidence would suggest that the dragon element is tied to life itself. It grows in plants. It develops in insects. It spreads through the food chain, and it permeates nature itself. And what it does is fascinating. It washes away weapons of elements. It drains elder dragons of their greatest powers, sealing them away. But most importantly of all, it attacks the mind. It's no coincidence that the most intelligent of the monsters are, generally speaking, the most affected by dragon. And, well, keep that in mind. So, Deviljho consumes. He eats, and he eats. More than arguably any monster but one. And it's no coincidence that the only monster to eat more than Deviljho is also a massive wielder of copious amounts of dragon. And this is because there is just a little bit of dragon in every living thing. And when you pile that all together in something like Deviljho, it manifests as his power. It's why it's so raw when it comes out of him. It's why it's not at all processed. It's not beamy. It's not used in any kind of way. It's simply just breathed, expulsed out of his mouth somewhat uncontrollably. It kind of just exists and bubbles in his body, and that's about the end of it. A culmination of all of the lives he has snuffed out, lending just a fraction of what power they had. And this is the source of the savage Deviljho, which we will get to, but in order to, we need to talk cannibalism, because of course Deviljho is very cannibalistic. He does not distinguish his own species as being off the menu. Now this of course leads to the big question of how do they reproduce? How do they find mates? How do they rear young if they just fucking eat everything that moves? Well, Deviljhos can secrete a pheromone that will tell another Deviljho that they're not, for once, in predator mode. This will cause them to not attack each other and, well, successfully mate. Though, of course, following that, the female will then try and kill the now exhausted male for a nice free meal. How the young are reared, where they hatch, do they go solo, is it luck if they reach adulthood, is a complete mystery. But something tells me growing up as a Deviljho is not that fun. So then, when a Deviljho, which is full to the brim with dragon, eats another Deviljho, which is full to the brim with dragon, you now have a Deviljho which is double full to the brim with dragon. And thus, a savage Deviljho is created. A variant, but one that happens fairly frequently, given how violent they are towards each other. And now that this Deviljho has this much dragon, one element it takes on is to be permanently angry, permanently enraged. The overwhelming dragon switches on that gland we talked about permanently. It is always pumped with adrenaline, muscles always bulged up. It is in a permanent state of ceaseless agony on top of the permanent state of ceaseless hunger. But it doesn't really feel all that, because now with this much dragon, it's been driven a little bit insane. Dragon really does cripple the mind. It's why Nikakos dies to the accompaniment of one of his lasers. It's his last-ditch attempt to get the upper hand, but ironically, in the effort of doing so in his now weakened state, he short-circuits his own brain. So when it comes to Deviljho eating more Deviljho, they very much turn themselves insane, and they become even more crazed, violent, unstoppable, single-minded hunger-killing machines. And they get to go an even level beyond their usual enrage, where the dragon pours out, releases itself, shrouds the Deviljho in the black-red crackle lightning smoke, and has its eyes glow with the stuff through the gloom, giving it a whole other level of power, adding to all its attacks, and generally making it a really bad time for anyone who would cross its path. And now, well, given it's a more powerful version of a monster that could already match an Elder Dragon, Savage Deviljho is up there in the truest of sense when it comes to strongest monsters. And now with all this extra dragon, he can win beam battles with other Elder Dragons from the sheer volume of it. It might still be very crude, but it very much is voluminous and potent. See, dragon in its rawest form is the kind of red blacky cloud, but dragon, if you can control it, refine it, and be, good at using it, turns more into the pure energy of the Jivas. That's kind of the scale of it. And so, of course, Deviljho really is not in any kind of refining mood. He just blasts out huge amounts of the stuff. The sad thing, though, is the longer a Savage Deviljho spends in his Super Dragon Enraged state, well, the shorter his lifespan is. It slowly kills it. And that's because the dragon cloud surrounds his face. It surges into his brain, and slowly but slowly will start to rot it away, as dragon do. So really, again, being a Deviljho sucks. Being a savage Deviljho seriously sucks. But that said, of course, the Deviljho is a legendary monster. He is just iconic, brought in by a surprise, weird, colourful bird yelling through its trumpet beak something you've not heard before and ruining your quest. It really is a favourable memory and a fantastic encounter and challenge for many a hunter. And I think he is one of perhaps 10 monsters of which is synonymous and iconic with the Monster Hunter name. And I think one of the few creatures that you could argue deserves to be in literally every single Monster Hunter game, or it just doesn't feel right. And in that sense then, let's hope he does indeed come to Rise to join his Rajang and have the mother of all turf wars. I don't think he needs to change that much. I think the world version is solid, and he's not really anything that needs to work too well with Wirebugs. He'll just be a fun fight. He can be a little bit more mobile and crazy now that we are more mobile ourselves, but not necessarily more crazy. And generally, he needs to be there. He needs to be there. So that's the Deviljho, guys. Let me know what you think of him. Let me know if you've learnt anything new. And until next time, like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more. Please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. Lore videos, well, really take a lot, and it's very much appreciated. A goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.